This is beyond history in the making. This is the first ever legal, state-sanctioned bare-knuckle fighting event in Florida history. We are making noise like no other combat sport in history has.
Want to get smacked again? Want to get smacked again? Want to get smacked again? Want to get smacked again?
The Bare-Knuckle Fighting Championship, or BKFC, is the latest combat sport to get licensed.
Absolutely phenomenal fight.
Its founder says it will soon compete with UFC, which became a multi-billion-dollar business by being more action-packed and violent than boxing. In their biggest move yet, BKFC have persuaded former two-time world boxing champion Paulie Malignaggi to come out of retirement and step into their ring.
Paulie the Magic Man Malignaggi!
This fight is different to a boxing match because it's obviously no gloves. The ring is a circle, it's not a square. And the rounds are 2 minutes instead of 3 minutes, you know? So it's a shorter fight, it's only 5 rounds, so the pace is fast. I compare it almost to a street fight, but a bit more organized.
I remember when UFC first came along and people thought it's not even going to get licensed. It's going to be more violent than boxing, so therefore it's not going to be legal. And now it's bigger than boxing.
And I think that's kind of the goal of this sport as well. It's funny because as society goes to a more PC culture, the combat sports, the thirst for combat sports becomes more violent, you know? Let's face it, bare knuckle boxing was banned 100 years ago. Now it's back.
Paulie is doing everything he can to get his aging body back into shape, reducing his oxygen intake while training to increase his endurance. This is still something you haven't done before exactly like this.
No.
When you step into the ring and the bell goes, is there still an element there of the unknown?
You know, you always have the little butterflies, but if you're really up for it and you're really passionate about what you do, the butterflies motivate you and really push you to be your best, you know? I begin to become a different person. I spend more time alone, I spend more time in my room, and I kind of just go into my own inner peace, so to speak, you know, between my workouts.
And as you get closer to the fight, you feel peaceful.
Peaceful, but at peace with having to be the violent person you need to be. No conscience, no sympathy. It's a calculated, almost a sniper-esque, almost assassin type of mentality. I'll be honest, I'm not sure if I would have done this earlier in my career with a professional boxing career to look forward to, but with my professional boxing career behind me, and really not a very good reason to have to be worried about my hands too much.
One of the biggest dangers for Paulie is breaking a hand. Even with the protection of boxing gloves, he's already had multiple injuries, and a human skull is much harder than a fist.
I've had 3 different surgeries on this part of my hand. One of the times it shattered, and that's the long scar over here. My entire hand shattered. I had to put my hand together. I had a 9-hour surgery.
In a boxing match?
Yeah.
The glove is there to protect your hand, not your opponent's head. Do you have to go into this fight worrying about breaking a hand?
I don't, because I think it's more going to be snapshots, you know? I really, really hurt my hand. I still got the other one. This guy's not good enough. No.
Boom, he takes those, like I see him. Boom, and he's like, yeah. Boom, and he gets it, and then, you know, I eat it. Okay, what I'm doing is bang, 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 bang. What are you gonna hide?
So what you're doing in the bag, that's what you're planning to do in the actual fight? Just constant...
Make his head into a pinball, bro. That's the plan. I want to pinball his head. You know, they ever play pinball? I want to pinball his head.
When you decided to take this fight, what did your friends and family say?
They thought, like, what, are you out of your mind? When people see blood and people see broken bones, automatically, because it's visual, they think, oh my goodness, it's so dangerous.
Physical risk aside, what would you say to people who said you were a very skillful boxer, you're a 2-time world champion, this is beneath you?
People have said that. People have said this is beneath you, you know? But if you're putting anything beneath you, then you're putting yourself on a pedestal. I don't think people should ever put themselves on a pedestal.
People will say that Paulie Malignaggi comes out of retirement, takes part in a bare-knuckle fight.
Yeah,
he must be like all the other boxers, he must be broke.
I hear the rumors, and it's fine. I mean, listen, if I get into my Ferrari and go for a ride and know that's my car, hey man, What do I need to convince you for? You know what I'm saying?
You know, you haven't been hit with bare knuckles, you're practicing with gloves. Like, how are you feeling as the fight gets really close now?
If I think about the fact of, oh my goodness, what is it gonna feel like? You're psyching yourself out. That's not how you approach a fight. You approach a fight understanding your plan for the fight and executing it. I'm going to make his face a mask of blood. That's my plan.
The man behind BKFC is David Feldman, who's been pushing to get the sport legalized for almost a decade.
We wanted it to be fast and exciting. So the fighters, they toe the line, they put their toe on the line. Each
Within
other.
range,
As soon as they
straight
say knuckle up, we can start banging. That's what's unique about this. And then what we also did is we developed rules like clinch fighting. So I can clinch you and punch.
Yeah, right.
So we're not just holding each other and the referee's gonna break it. As long as I'm punching, he's gonna let it go.
What would you say to critics who might say people would be willing to pay to see fights with weapons or a fight to the death? Like, just because people are willing to pay for it doesn't mean you should give it to them, you know?
The hardest part about this was perception. It's barbaric, it's this, it's that. I pitched 28 states and they all said no. And I found one that said yes. I knew the fighters weren't really gonna get injured. You don't get as much head trauma, you don't get the brain rattle. I knew I wasn't doing something so crazy. I was just doing something outside the box a little bit.
Explain the business model.
We need about 40,000 pay-per-view buys and we need to sell the place out. We're already selling the place out and we look like we're gonna well exceed those 40,000 pay-per-view buys to break even. Bringing Paulie Malignaggi on was a big step for us. We were getting a lot of curiosity fans.
And how big do you think it could be in 1, 2, 3 years' time?
I think within another year from now, we're gonna have a good TV deal. And I think 3 years from now, we're competing with everybody. If you come to it, you're gonna fall in love with it. Not only are you seeing the action, but you hear this. You hear that noise. You hear it, and it is, even me, promoting it, pushing it for years, and now promoting it, I'm like, man, it's awesome. It's just an awesome sound.
David might be excited about the sound and extreme nature of bare-knuckle boxing, but there's also the chance to make some of the millions of dollars people are willing to pay to watch combat sports. For Paulie, this fight gives him the chance to end his career on a high. His professional boxing career was over more than 2 years ago when he suffered a knockout loss.
There you go. And down goes Malignaggi in the 8th. That looked heavy, and he looks furious with himself. He's hurt here.
Wakey. Morning, Jeff. How we doing? There we go.
On top of everything else, Paulie is also having to virtually starve himself to make the stipulated weight limit of 155 pounds.
This stuff is like a fighter's best friend. It's called albumin. And if you gotta make weight, albumin is your best friend because albumin opens your pores. It's usually used for women to wash off their makeup, I believe. You know, as you get older, you kind of lose that fire sometimes, so you have to kind of regenerate it in different ways, you know? Try to stay hungry, stay motivated. You know, you have to stay as motivated as you've always been when you were young, even if you're older. If you decide to fight, that's the only way you survive this. That's the only way you avoid from getting hurt, you know? So, and of course, that's the only way you succeed. I think anybody wants to be able to walk away from a sport with pride. I'm blessed and grateful that I have this chance to do this in this fight. This is my breakfast. So I ate every little part with this. I'm fine, guys. I don't know why you're always like overplaying it. Like, I'm fine. Stop. Fucking win. Fuck this win. Fuck this win. I want you to work on it today.
The foot is going under you. Yeah.
And my foot's not fucking playing. So I'm trying to do it. I'm slipping.
You know what?
I mean, it's driving me crazy.
Tomorrow in the room, there's a carpet. We'll work on it. Whatever you need, we're gonna have before we go. You know what I'm saying?
nascisse non bene, nascisse nei bici, nascisse. E tu che hai costruito, l'hai costruito tu stesso. Capito? Quello che hai costruito, l'hai costruito. E nascisse per fare un guerriere, nascisse. E chi sta tua vita? Sei un guerriere e basta. E nessuno ti ha fatto l'esame. E voi ti fate dei viti, poi, e ci siamo.
Give him the other look with the grab and one hand punching. I want to see. One hand punching. One hand punching. There we go.
On the night before the official weigh-in, just 2 days before the actual fight, Paulie gets one of his first breaks all week.
But you're looking very sharp.
He's finally under the 155-pound limit. Good? So he's just under the weight limit after his final training session. So they're celebrating and they're saying he can now eat a single can of tuna.
Introducing to you first, fighting out of the red corner, the Nightmare, Bare-Knuckle.
How's your fist, Paulie? That's the most important. You good so far? The key here in a street fight is when I land punches on you before you land punches on me, you always win the fight.
This is Malanashi versus Lobo.
What's so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam.
We are now set for the main event of the evening. And it is scheduled for 5 2-minute rounds in the Bare-Knuckle Super Welterweight division. What time is it? Tampa, Florida. It's time to knuckle up!
Hand speed, baby. Hand speed all day, all night.
Get him up!
Let on your jab, Paulie. Let it go fast. Speed, baby. Work your jab. Down the middle. Speed. Attaboy. Back on the jab. Let me go. How you feeling, champ? How's it looking in there? Good. You're looking really good. Back on the jab. Oh! There you go.
It's the last round. It's fucking desperate. You feel me? You know, you want this or you don't want it.
How you feeling?
Broke my right hand with the roof down.
Okay, okay.
For the winner by unanimous decision,
Are you serious? That's a bullshit decision. He won the fight.
The decision didn't go Paulie's way.
I got a shit decision, and I made a tic-tac-toe board out of his face with my left hand. You know what I mean? Like, if you look at my face, I got hit literally in one clench. In one clench, I got hit. That's it.
But the promoter claims pay-per-view sales were between 120 and 180,000 buys. generating between $5 and $7 million in revenue. So it's a decent payday for everyone. And BKFC have already announced their next event in Mississippi.